What's up, guys? How's it going? Tuesday night hangout. A little bit later than normal, but I was delayed in getting the video up, and you know how it goes. Schedule-wise, everything else. But the Ant-Man in the house, Anthony DiBona, what's up?
I mean, vibes are higher in Philadelphia. This is two back-to-back wins ahead of the bye week. Couldn't be feeling much better, especially after that offensive performance. I mean, trade deadline's right around the corner. It's an exciting time in Philadelphia.
Hey now, a lot of options. The options are endless. We texted about this back and forth. We talked about it less than a week away. So, questions are, okay, who do the Eagles go after? Are they going to make a bigger move? Are they not? Are they just going to stay put? The cornerback spot, edge position, everything else, and we'll get into all that. So I broke it down, the most recent speculation, and I was thinking about it too. It's like, look, the most difficult part probably around, especially the trade deadline, but it's like sifting through fact versus fiction and rumors and everything, because you have one reporter that says so and so is available, and you have another reporter that goes, no, there's no chance. Like they're not available at all, and then it just keep continuing conflicting reports. And you're like, well, all right. I mean, I can't rule out anything because you never can. It's craziness that, always random things pop up. So we're about a week away, a little bit less. I don't think anything would shock us at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting for about 2 minutes this afternoon with the Kayvon Thibodeau report that teams were
Sure,
calling, and
yeah.
then sure enough, it was shut down just a couple minutes later. Like, oh no, the Giants have they've received calls, but they aren't entertaining offers, which is such a Giants thing to do, right? Because it felt like they made that same exact mistake with Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley, where they had these good young players with no intention of re-signing them or meeting the market price. I mean, granted, Thibodeau has another year remaining because I believe they picked up his fifth-year option. But regardless, it feels like now is the perfect time where you would get maybe a team like San Francisco before they traded for Keon White, or one of these other contenders, even the Eagles. Like, I don't know if they're going to make that big of a move, because I'm assuming that the asking price will be relatively high for Kayvon Thibodeau, but given the trades earlier tonight, that maybe the market's not as hot as we expected. But regardless, it just feels like such a Giants move for them to. They drafted Abdul Carter. Brian Burns is literally leading the league in sacks. Well, maybe he's not after the weekend that Myles Garrett had, but I
Sure.
mean, you have those two are pretty much solidified as your edge rushers, like for the foreseeable future, and they're just going to hold on to Kayvon Thibodeau and then eventually let him walk for a compensatory pick instead of getting something now when they need it most and to rebuild. So, I mean, Giants are going to giant, I guess.
They keep doing the same old, same old. It really is. It's not that surprising, like you say, because they continue to do the same thing. But especially in this time, the trade deadline. I mean, that's when you get even more premium picks or trade value potential, because obviously you see that teams maybe are desperate, or they're like, man, we're close, but we need that guy to push us just a little bit further. And yeah, every once in a while, you get a team that's willing to pay it. Would it be the Eagles? I don't know if Howie's necessarily going that route, and there's a lot to get into with Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, and others. By the way, drop a like for me real quick if you don't mind, everybody. We appreciate it as always. But I'm going to start out actually with one of the giveaways, because we do the member giveaways every single month, and I've got the spinner wheel ready to go. So before I ruin it or forget, maybe I should do that, because also I'll just let everybody know I'm going to be out the latter part of this week. It's the bye week, so I figured go on vacation. I understand at the same time. It's like, yeah, but Josh, there's the trade deadline. Like, there's sure as the world something will happen. Like, it's just inevitable now, especially because schedule a vacation. So probably the Eagles will make a big blockbuster trade. Max Crosby to the Eagles, and I'll
Listen,
be
something crazy happens and
just
you're on
gone.
vacation. You might have to give you the account information. I'm going to go live from
It's
the
fair.
car.
Okay, you
Do a
should.
little
You might. Yes,
throwback video.
we should. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like say that it's impossible. But we'll see where I'll be. I mean, service wise and everything, it'll be difficult. But yes, the FOMO will absolutely happen. Okay, so but like I said, before we get into all that, I'm going to spin. This is the ticket giveaway for the members of the channel, because you guys are the OGs. Appreciate that. Kramer, Corey, what's up? Member for 10 months saying, where's the vacay? We're going to Turks next week. Wow. Okay. Well, that sounds like a blast. It's not quite like that. It's actually Branson, Missouri. So it's some good family fun, some wholesome fun. It's honestly very similar to Lancaster, as you were
Hey,
mentioning for some of y'all, it sounds very familiar to like the type of setup that y'all went to. Um, it's just closer for me, so I can't drive all the way in that direction. So
shout out Dutch Wonderland. I mean, if they want to sponsor
that,
the channel, I mean,
I mean, hey,
great place for anybody
the
near
pictures and
Pennsylvania.
everything that you
Take your
sent me, like
kids.
the girls immediately are like, yes, absolutely. They were excited. They were like, oh, we need to go there. Yeah, it's okay. Yep. Daniel Tiger and the rest. Um, okay, let me make sure. I did say that I had it good to go. Um, yes, we do. All right, here we go. It is. I'm gonna. Yep, I knew I was gonna do that. Okay, the wheel is up here, but we lost Anthony briefly. I can hear you and see
Oh,
you, but like they can't. So there we go. Now we can see you again.
might be a good
I knew
thing.
that was gonna happen. Uh, good luck all. This is membership wise of the channel, longevity, tier, everything else calculated in, and it's all manual, of course. So it took a long time, but good luck all. See who it lands on. 2 tickets, any game of your choice. Do this every month. Reason to be a member and stay a member, but appreciate you guys. Who will it be? It is. Hey, Cranky Cletus. I don't know if Cranky's up or Cranky's on the stream, but Cranky is definitely there during the game streams. I know that. So, Cranky, you got a chance to claim these. You have at least a week. Being a member and a bye week and everything else, I might give you like a week and a half until the next game stream because I know that Cranky's a kind of an OG, been here for quite a while. So I'm pretty sure that Cranky will be available. But congrats, Cranky, one of the members. You got 2 tickets. Any Eagles game of your choice, and let me know if you're in the stream. Obviously, that makes it even easier. But otherwise, you got a chance. I'll post it on the next video. Let everybody know that. And then also, there's 2 more tickets that I'm giving away from the past video, and that one's just for subscribers. So it's not members only. That one's subscribers, just for clarification. I'm gonna do that. So that is not over. If you've not gotten in on the giveaway, go check it out. The game stream, the game recap video, and drop a comment, get entered, and I'll let everybody know that probably the video dropping on Thursday. So there you go. Yes, it is rigged. I know. There's always going to be in your Frank voice, LA Kid. Wow. Hey, Cranky Cletus is here. Let's go. Just says hello. Cranky, it's perfect timing. You won. Email me or DM me on one of the socials. ThePhillySpecialShow@gmail.com. 2 Eagles tickets, any game of your choice. And chat, feel free to let me know which game he should go to in the meantime. Anthony, what do you think? If you had to pick, I mean, the remaining games. I feel like we've had this
Ooh.
conversation, but maybe not over the last
I mean, our
couple.
away games are on the table.
Sure, yeah, might as well.
I feel like it has to be week 10 against the Packers, right? I mean,
I would say
that
that, yeah.
seems to be not only would he potentially get a chance to meet you, but
Well, okay, all right.
that's the biggest
That's
deal of
not
all.
the
No.
no.
No, but honestly, it seems like right now the Lions are in that group too. But if you want to enjoy like a home game, I guess. But Eagles Packers in Lambeau, that's like a legendary kind of venue to go to if you haven't been there before. I haven't been there, but maybe I will one day. But that matchup, there's a lot of hype around it. It's going to be probably Brandon Graham's first game back, maybe Nolan Smith's first game back. I mean, all this trash that Micah Parsons has been talking about, the tush push and hating the Eagles, and like there's just so much hype around that game, and I feel like that would have to be the choice. If I had a choice, that's what I would go with.
Okay. Well, I like I said, I agree with you because obviously picked those tickets and that game to go to. Partial because obviously wife's family or Packers fans, and she's kind of converted somewhat. She's not really the full blown Packers fan as much anymore. Of course, there's like, all right, obviously supporting me and us at the channel. So there's an element there, but yeah, like either way, I'm hyped for the game. It's just random coincidence, I think, but it feels, I don't know if it's serendipitous, but the fact that Nolan Smith should be returning for the Packers game there, like it's bound to, surely he's going to get a sack, right? Like it just feels like that has to happen because he hasn't gotten one. We got Jalix is out of the way. Jalix is going to continue to get this going, and you get Jalix on one edge, you get Nolan on the other edge. We hoped to have seen it like the first couple weeks. It only took a matter of 8 or 9 weeks, 10 by the time we get to the bye to see both guys. But you know what? Better late than never. I'm still very optimistic about what Jalix and Nolan can do on the edges.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the biggest Jokes Hunt guy. You're the biggest Nolan Smith guy. So we've been wanting to see this all season long. It took longer than we expected for it to happen. But I also think hopefully they play it relatively slow with Nolan Smith, like when he comes back, especially with if Brandon Graham's going to be playing as well. I feel like if they just throw him out to the Wolves and he's playing 40 snaps immediately, like I think that's a little bit less than ideal. But hopefully they bring him along a little bit slower, where he's playing like maybe around 20 snaps, 15, 20 snaps, something like that, just to work his way in. But I know, given those opponents that they're going to be playing right out of the bye week, you're going to want to have him on the field basically as much as possible too, right? So it's going to be tough to kind of find that balance. I think maybe because of, especially with Nolan Smith's injury, he might not hit those the preseason like sack numbers or totals that we were talking about. But
Unfortunately.
you never know. I mean, because and it's funny looking at Jalix Hunt because like his trajectory in year two is very similar to Nolan Smith's in his second year with the Eagles, where he didn't really play much as a rookie, then started to play a little bit more, showed some promise, then took on a bigger role in year two, started off slowly, then all of a sudden, I think it was week 6 of last season, he recorded his first sack, and the next thing you know, he had rattled off a bunch of sacks, right, going into the postseason as well. So now Jalix Hunt got like played more as a rookie than many expected him to because of injuries. In year two, started off a little slow. The pressure there, showed some promise, but now pick 6 in week 7, got his first sack of the season in week 8. Now it's like, oh, is he going to get a sack every game like Nolan Smith was at this when he hit this kind of this his
Hey
stride
now.
later in the season? So I mean, hopefully that happens. That would be great to see because, like I said, we're both high on both of those players. But I mean, I'm trying not to get my expectations too high, but I really can't help it either.
Man, we need to see it. Just get the pass rush going. It is a beautiful thing though, and like you talk about, the past 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, second in the NFL in pressures. So that speaks for itself, right? Among all pass rushers, edge rushers, uh, you want to translate those into sacks. Very easily could have had at least 2 others, but maybe even 3 others if we're looking at the Giants game. And then even you think back the prior week, he's had so many opportunities. It's like he's right there. He's getting his hands on the quarterback. Either can't bring him down, or they slip free, but he's continuing to get close.
And I
And
think
I
he's had
think
2 intentional grounding calls, right? Like when he was the closest one to
yes,
the
yeah,
quarterback.
exactly, yes, yeah. So there,
So
like it's just a matter of time. Like he's surely going to get it to happen. But yes, as far as getting those pressures right up near the top, Moro Jomo, 4 sack, leading the team high. I think that you tweeted it out, if I'm not mistaken, for the
yeah,
comparison of Milton Williams. Jomo has been probably, I mean, I don't know, as advertised, better than advertised at training camp. I know he was beating guys, and Lane Johnson and others were talking about him. Landon Dickerson was what the forgot the exact wording, like the awkward to block him just with his size and
yeah.
athleticism, the way that he played. But that's pretty impressive for what Big Mo's doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the exact tweet, but yeah, I mean, right now, granted, Milton Williams is not playing with Jalen Carter, like alongside Jalen Carter any longer, so he's obviously getting
Right?
a
Yeah.
little bit more attention. But at the same time, Jalen Carter has missed essentially 2 games because he was kicked out before the Cowboys game and then didn't play the first Giants game. So Moro Jomo has been able to put, I think he has 28 total pressures on this season, leads the Eagles with the 4 sacks, like you mentioned, and that's more than Milton Williams in both of those categories this season. And he's actually played, I think, a couple of snaps less than Milton Williams as far as the pass rushing snaps. So the production is definitely there. I just feel like he got off to a little bit of a slower start. I feel like there was so much like pressure on him almost coming into the season because of that offseason hype that you talked about, where these like all pro linemen are just hyping him up and saying how good he's looked. It felt like every practice that the reporters were in attendance, they were like, Moro Jomo was dominant. He stood out more than Jalen Carter. Like, especially when Jalen Carter was sitting out with the shoulder injury, it felt like he was still kind of dominating. So, I mean, maybe his expectations were a little bit too high at first, but now he's actually exceeding those expectations because he's on pace to record almost a double-digit sack season. So the good thing is, unlike Milton Williams, he's not going to hit free agency this offseason, so they don't
Yeah.
have to worry about him signing a 9-figure contract. So they'll have him around for another year. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, and it speaks to the way that Howie Roseman has drafted because he got him so late a couple years ago. They've been able to kind of bring him along slowly, and people were like, "Oh my God, you traded away Thomas Booker. That was such a mistake." And now you look, and it's like, well, he looks pretty good now. They're getting Jalen Carter back healthy. Jordan Davis has taken a step forward as well. He recorded another sack this week, so that it feels like the Eagles are hitting their stride at the perfect time.
5 guys, 5 different guys. Everybody getting involved in the sack game. Not too bad. Matt with a 20 bomb, as always, just gifting out all the memberships. 20 bomb of Philly Special Show memberships. Congratulations to everybody there. And then also got, did I miss one of those? I think there's a member. 20 people got those. So by the way, those individuals will get in on the ticket giveaway for next month. So congratulations on that side. Froggy, welcome to the Let's Run. I think it's a welcome back, if I'm not mistaken, but welcome back. Cranky, I see the comment there. How about the Chicago Bears game on Black Friday? Okay, as far as that works. Again, I need you to just email me. So I haven't seen your email yet. I've been checking. But thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com. If you can screenshot the stream, your profile, I just need to double check, make sure it's you, obviously, and then email me. And if you want to do it while we're on the stream, then I can absolutely verify that it's you, because we had some scammers in the past. But yes, just confirm. I need to get your info so that obviously I can get the tickets, send those to you. But sure, yeah, I mean, Black Friday, it's not too bad. Day after Thanksgiving, go enjoy some Eagles beating Caleb Williams and the Bears. Yeah.
Have they officially announced that they're going to wear the all black uniforms that game? I'm assuming that they are, but because
I don't think they have announced officially, but I mean, they have to, right?
Because they could wear alternate uniforms, 4 games, I believe, and I think they've already announced the 3 Kelly Green games or something like that. So
yep.
That, I mean, Black Friday, they can wear the black helmets this year. They don't have to go back to the midnight green like they did last year, because now they're allowing more than 2 helmets. So, I mean, that's still I know Kelly Green gets all the hype. I still love the all black uniforms, especially with the black helmets. I mean, it just makes me think of, I know they didn't have the black helmets back then, but it makes me think of Brian Dawkins in the all black uniform. Like that's what I think of. It's just like that kind of era of Eagles football. Granted, it didn't result in any Super Bowl wins, but that's like the team that I kind of grew up watching it and loving, and that he's still my favorite player of all time. So, I mean, I just love those uniforms, and I always will.
They're pretty sick. I agree with you. They're not quite the Kelly Green magic, the 5-0. The players make plays, and if we're ever struggling, just put on the Kelly Greens. It's just going to somehow make them play so much better. I don't quite understand it fully. Jack was saying he wanted all black versus the Raiders. That would also be cool, I guess. But I think Black Friday works the best if you're going to go all black. But the Eagles know what they're doing. They got Kelly Green for each of the NFC East matchups. There's a reason why. So absolutely, take care of business.
And they're wearing them on the road against Dallas, right? Which I think is pretty cool. So
I know that'd be interesting too.
Every other one so far has been at home, I believe. So that's kind of cool. It kind of works because Dallas wears white at home. So
yeah. So that one works there. Fanny with a 5. Philly Special Show memberships, 5 more. Appreciate that, Fanny. That's big time. Thank you for that. Got several of those also on that side. Matt going to be working on Black Friday. Big day that day. Yeah, delivering packages, I would imagine, is pretty busy on Black Friday. I mean, especially on Black Friday. But, at least they're, I don't know, a game going on. Kind of be able to hang out and watch the game while doing that. It is always interesting, though, whenever they play. Like, holidays, strange timings, everything else, which is kind of becoming more of the norm. But, at least it's not on Thanksgiving. Like I enjoy sitting there eating some food, watching, but I can't like, I don't know. There's something like I can't get like so invested and involved. And obviously, like now I'm streaming the games too, but like even before, like I don't know. They just not. I need to have like my own setup and everything. Just be where I'm at, So I can enjoy someone else's game, but I really don't want to do that on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because there's some times where, unfortunately, I have to work on Sundays. So those 1 o'clock games. Luckily, there's only one more 1 o'clock game remaining on the regular season schedule for the Eagles. I believe that's what I read recently. So that's good at least. But yeah, so sometimes I have to stress and try and keep up with the game at work, or can't get a great stream, or the quality is not good, and I'm behind, and then I'm getting Twitter alerts or coworkers telling me what's going on. It's a mess. So
here's the updates.
Yeah, it's rough, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm actually, I don't know, as I get older, I think I appreciate the 1 o'clock time slot a little bit more, because
it's fair. Yes.
When it's that 8 o'clock start, I'm like starting to doze off because I'm trying to put the kids to sleep, and then I'm trying to sneak away to the game, but then they're still awake. It's like, it becomes a mess. At 1 o'clock, I can kind of just be at peace and then find my spot.
It does feel like there's a little bit of paying for it the next day, especially with the later games kickoff. So, um, by the way, got a super chat here. We'll get into this, and then also we are gonna discuss talk trade rumors, talks everything ahead of the deadline because naturally that is the topic and title of this video and everything else. So we'll be doing that. Deontay with a 5 though. Love the content. Great to be a drama-free win with no AJ. We love AJ, but no drama is nice. Hurts is him. Smith, most underrated wide receiver in the league. There we go. Thank you for the 5. Smitty, it's nice to see the level that he's been playing at. The offense clicking. It's still, I get why there's a lot of like national, especially like national narratives. For the most part, just national, not completely. Of this offense or this team was better without AJ Brown, but like at the end of the day, they're still so much better whenever AJ Brown is on the field. Now, you don't want the distractions. I get that, but just talent wise, if everyone and the collective, as Jalen says, is playing together, it's a night and day difference. Everything that you saw on the field, it was phenomenal, right? Like all the play calling, all the variations, the variety they had, the sequencing of it, putting it together, taking shots, over the middle throws, play action, everything that combines with that. Then you add in AJ Brown. Like it's just a miss. It's crazy, like what this team can be, and we've been saying that since before the beginning of the season. Like, oh, can you imagine like just being able to play off of one another? The expectation was the running game would be there from week 1. It only took until they put on the Kelee green jerseys, but now it appears to be here. And shout out to John who texted this earlier. I won't claim to have come up with this, but with Tank Bigsby and Saquon Barkley, the nickname is Big Bark for the running backs.
Hey.
So, I mean, if they continue that tandem there, like, good luck. This team they will be unbeatable. I get like, hey, don't get carried away, all this other stuff. Josh, it was the Giants. Totally fair, like 100%. But they are still not even scratching the surface. Yet we saw how scary this team could be if and when they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, regarding the whole AJ Brown kind of outlook and how people want to, you could tell exactly what kind of narrative people were going to try and push the second that game
Very
ended,
quickly.
because it was either like, oh my God, which this is the reasonable one, where you're like, oh my God, if they can do this without AJ Brown, just imagine it's him running these in-breaking routes or these fade routes or these deep shots instead of a Jihaad or a Darius Cooper, and along with what everything that Devontae Smith was doing. And then there were the other people that were like, how it goes, like, they can put up 38 points without him. Why do they need him? Look how happy the locker room is. Look at, like, and granted, I did make a tweet before the game saying that because there was the reports with Diana Rossini and then a couple other ones saying that they're either, it seemed like all the NFL Network people are saying they're not entertaining trade offers. Some of the athletic people are saying they're willing to listen, but they would have to be blown away. So I kind of just chimed in and said, listen, I think a trade is more likely in 2026 in the offseason. But if they did receive some ridiculous offer where it's 2 to 3 first-round picks plus a young player on a rookie contract that has multiple years remaining, maybe they would entertain it now. People just saw that, and I got crazy reactions. I had to end up muting the tweet where people were like, oh my God, you're the worst. You're DiBona Rossini, and you're entertaining this stuff. And I was just trying to kind of offer both sides of it. But I mean, in reality, it seems like they're ready to welcome him back with open arms. Nick Sirianni said it himself earlier today that they're excited about getting him back and just implementing him to the offense. But just zooming out as a whole, people are like, oh, they just need to run more under center. But that's not anything that they've really ever done with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback, because,
right, yeah.
I mean, in the past, people have argued, like, was it the OC or Nick Sirianni that didn't want it? Was it Jalen Hurts that didn't want it? Because he never really did it, even dating back to high school and college. And there are quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and others that they prefer being in shotgun and being able to see everything and not really getting under center and having to turn their back to the defense. But we're seeing, obviously, Jalen Hurts do it these past 2 weeks, and it's just opening everything up. I mean, the offensive linemen have said it gives them much better angles. Saquon Barkley says it gives him more vision in the backfield sometimes to be able to kind of read the defense. The receivers seem like they're playing better. They're even getting off to block better because the ground game is just so much more dominant. It's just it's just helped everything. So now if you just add AJ Brown back into the mix, that should only just help it even further, especially given this tough schedule that they have coming out of the bye week. So I'm just excited to see AJ Brown back in the mix, and I'm not so much entertaining all of the nonsense on the outside.
And it's also, like there's so many different takeaways from that, or from even with that, is Jalen Hurts MVP level that he's playing at, 20 total touchdowns, only one interception. It's insane. The plays that he's made, 2 games over 140 passer rating consecutively. And what he's doing too, like you're mentioning there, it's things that we have not seen before. Like it's going under center. And Kevin Patullo gave Jalen a shout out in the press conference earlier today of saying like, it's credit to Jalen. It's credit to his work ethic. It's credit to him always kind of pushing the envelope and asking like, what can he do? Like, what can he add to his repertoire to make this offense better? And so, I'd say it's Jalen, the self-scouting, whatever the case may be, maybe looking into it also of like, hey, if this helps the running game get going, let's do it. You know what? I'm not opposed to trying anything. Whatever makes this team better. And we're seeing that. It's like, okay, hey, the running game's going well. Now what do you do? Play action. Then we start seeing some of the play action. Man, that works really well. And then my favorite part, and I know this is like built off of each other, so it's not one without the other, but my favorite part is the running game got going. Then you start doing play action. Then they start doing play action throwing over the middle. And it's like, they're under center and play action and throwing to the middle. What is this? It's not what we've seen before. Yes, the mind is exploding here. But there's a reason why it works so well. And you'd see the Eagles receivers open by 5-10 yards because no teams have that on tape. We don't see that ever, but I love it because you bring the linebackers up and you saw it so many different times. The play action got them to bite. The safeties have to go deep because you are running a deep route that way. And then they had Smitty crossing it over the middle a couple times. Goddard was one of those plays as well. It opens up so many things. And again, it comes back to AJ was not even on the field. And you add one more guy, a weapon of his caliber, like defenses will have to be going like, this is unfair. This is what we as fans were hoping to see. It's not what defensive coordinators want to see from the Eagles, but there's so much potential. Kevin Patullo, keep building, keep this thing going, but we are excited about that. And also one more thing too, I'll just say for AJ before I'm going to get to these other super chats and comments here. I did appreciate Jeffrey Lurie's comment from the owners meeting. I kind of made a slight joke about it, so I'm curious to see. I haven't been able to check the comments from the previous video, and I'm sure that I'll get a few. You guys know, I like to joke. I like to troll a little bit. I like to jab. It's nothing to the extreme, but Jeffrey Lurie's comments felt a little bit like a get in line, AJ. Like, kind of man up. Like his comment there was like, and it was a hypothetical from Diana Rossini. Like, what if AJ asked to be traded? What would you do? And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, Jeffrey Lurie's like, we wouldn't even consider it. Sorry. If he wants to get traded, we wouldn't even consider it. Unless we feel like it is 100% the benefit of the team to trade him, then we will do it. Otherwise, it's always team first. And you could still take that argument and go, yeah, but if he's asking to be traded, isn't that the best for the team? Maybe. If it's gotten to that point, maybe it is. But the way he messaged that is like, he knows AJ's going to see it. I'm sorry, you're the owner of the team. You know AJ's going to see it. So for him to say it that way is kind of like, man up a little bit. If you're having some issues, if there's anything internally, if there's anything distraction-wise, whatever it is, drama, I think it's kind of like, let's just move on. The collective Eagles are about winning, and that's the most important thing. If you need to figure out something in the offseason, we can discuss that then. We can have many live streams and talk about, well, is AJ going to get traded, whatever. Who cares at that point? But for this season, to get the job done, AJ Brown, it's almost a foregone conclusion. He's going to be here, and he makes the team better. They are just going to work him in. And like you said a second ago too, Sirianni talked about it earlier today as well, is excited to get him back. I'm looking forward to Green Bay. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is the type of player that's harboring any resentment, even if there is. Obviously, it seems like something at odds between those two. Jalen cares about winning. So if AJ's open or AJ just has an opportunity, Jalen's not the type of guy that's going to, no, not throwing his way. He's going to try to win the game. So I'm not concerned about that at all.
Yeah, and regarding the Jeffrey Lurie comments, I think the biggest thing was that he spoke like period, right? Because if you look in recent history, he's not an owner that's talking a ton during the regular season. Even like usually the media has to wait until those owner meetings in the off season to even hear anything from Jeffrey Lurie outside of like little fundraiser events or things like that where he's just giving like generic statements. He's not really taking questions from the media.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he spoke to Diana Rossini or whoever else was involved and said that, like you said, that kind of speaks volumes. Where it's like kind of like, hey, listen, like enough's enough. You know, like not he's not going to be disrespectful about it, but at the same time, he was just like the book was a little bit open and he just closed it. He was like, nope, it's not happening unless we think, like you said, it's the best interest of the team. And it's funny because I think whenever Eagles like media members know that Jeffrey Lurie is going to speak, somebody's always there. It's just funny that I don't think any Eagles beat reporter was there to get these quotes from Jeffrey Lurie. So it almost, I do wonder if part of it was like he wasn't planning on talking, and then he saw how this story and this drama was kind of building.
That's fair.
And then he found basically Diana Rossini, who's probably the reporter there with the biggest platform, the biggest microphone, and said, "Hey, listen, let me tell you this. Like, come to the side. Let me talk to you about this, and we'll just address this." So I don't know if that's necessarily what happened, but like I mentioned it, and they've said it on the PHLY show. Bo Wolf and Fran Duffy both spoke about it too, where Jeffrey Lurie doesn't talk a lot to the media, especially during the season. So the fact that he even said something caught their attention, and obviously what he said kind of spoke volumes. So hopefully this kind of helps smooth things over, and everything will be smooth sailing after the bye week. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed. If they stay together, and this is why I said this too, it's the best case scenario to have the bye week whenever it is. And last year just so turned out that it was the best case scenario to have an early bye week. At first it was like, oh shoot, we got an early bye week. That's not, we'd love to have it later in the season, all this other stuff. This year is perfection. They were able to somehow, I mean, we look back at it, it's kind of amazing. You look back and say, oh man, the Eagles somehow got to 6-2 before the bye, and it did not feel like that was where we were headed. After 2 games, you're like, this is going to be, this could be very, very rough from what we've seen so far. But they managed to win those games. They took care of business, 6-2, and they're continuing to get better. So that is the best case scenario. And then also, I like what Saquon said after the game, talking to Aaron Andrews, of him even kind of echoing that same sentiment, like, it'll be good. It's actually good. Get away from the team, get away from the guys, have some time by yourself, clear your head, breath of fresh air, and then you come back in. We got half of the season remaining. You regroup, refocus, get the job done. So maybe a little bit of time away would be a good thing. Shout out to Cranky, 5 Philly Special Show memberships. Appreciate that. I also see your comment, and I did get your email. So, Cranky, I got you. Got the contact info. I will get those tickets to you and then transfer those over. So, I'll contact you and respond back to the email. But I did get your email. I appreciate you doing that. And we're good to go. That helps me because we don't have other scammers, unfortunately, which we've had in the past. Go figure. Garrett,
is that a
5?
record for getting a giveaway settled? I feel like the fact that he was in the live
stream,
stream,
honestly, yeah,
and responded during the live stream.
Ticket, a ticket member giveaway and somewhat. But I guess I shouldn't be so surprised because it's a member giveaway. So the odds are like the members were there more than the non-members. But it's pretty late, so that is pretty surprising. Craig's a real one. Totally deserve it. Garrett with a 5, though, says, hey, guys, I brought it up in the offseason, but asking again, going to Philly for a week to watch the Lions game. Any suggestions in Philly? I'm sure that Garrett has gotten several different recommendations from the chat while I'm getting to this because I'm late to the super chat. I mean, I think that I want to say we actually gave some recommendations to Garrett or maybe just to somebody else. Got to have a cheesesteak while you're there. Angelo's, or you would say, I was going to say, you would say John's. I have not had John's yet. I think we were going to do that last time, and I forget why we didn't go to John's. Well, we went to a different place. Still got to make that happen. But yes, you can't go wrong with Philly cheesesteak. Go to either place, right? And actually, speaking of that, this is totally off on a tangent here, but Dom bringing cheesesteaks and pizza to Scattaboo in the hospital there. I love that story, man. It's like I know that there's a very small amount, and I saw some comments like, "Yo, they're rivals and everything." It's like, come on, no one wanted to see that injury. You better not have wanted to see that injury. No cheering or anything like that for that gruesome injury. Prayers for recovery. Hopefully he's back, but for a guy like Cam Scatterby, what he means to the Giants, the way he went down, and then Big Dom being like, "Oh, I'm gonna go bring cheesesteaks and pizza." It's like the most Philly thing to do,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that he did that. But also, it made me think because it was cheesesteaks and pizza. I know it's not the only place, but because it was cheesesteaks and pizza, my immediate thought was that was Angelo's. Had to be.
Probably. Yeah. And I don't know how many videos of Cam Scatterby everybody watches, but since I'm in New York, I obviously see a lot of them. I'm surrounded by Giants fans, so I see that stuff all the time. But one of the things about him is, I mean, granted, I just appreciate the football player that he is and the personality and the aggression that he has, the physicality that he has on the field. So I was a fan of him regardless of what uniform he put on. But it's funny that on his days off, he says that basically he eats like crap. He just eats a bunch of junk and plays video games. And then like this guy's sitting in the hospital after suffering that injury, and it's probably like a dream come true to have Big Dom come in with all of this terrible food for him. I mean, granted it was good food, but you know what I mean, like terrible diet.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
not on
probably
the
the
diet.
first thing that he wanted to see. So
Yeah,
pretty funny that Big Dom went and brought that to him as well.
but it's pretty good. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is not. Let's just say he's not having the Angelo's cheesesteak and pizza after the game, but it is perfect timing. And Cam also tweeted, which I covered in the video, but tweeted out just the appreciation for that. So yeah, Angelo's, go to John's. If you can, depending on timing and tickets, I don't think it's too late. Usually you can get a tour of the stadium and do like the VIP tour of the locker rooms and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. So I'd recommend that.
Reading Terminal Market
before.
It's cool.
Yes.
It's a cool
Yep.
place to sit. I mean, it's like a all-inclusive kind of like food court thing with all different kinds of types of food. If you don't want just cheesesteaks, I know it's what everybody's probably going to point you in the direction of, which is fair. But if you want to try different types of food all in one spot, that's kind of in like the center of the city. So
Rocky Steps, gotta do that. And then Tailgate, of course, M-Lot, go see Dylan. You might see
and
other celebrities, but
if you go to the Rocky Steps, make sure you throw a Lions jersey on it and then take a picture of it so it'll go viral and everybody's like, did somebody make this mistake again?
You know, who knows who does that, but it does seem like whether it's planted or not, we've had pretty good success.
It would be funny if it was just the same person this whole time, just throwing opposing jerseys.
They every week they're like on NFL Shop, they're like, oh, which jersey do I need to buy this week? Okay, all right, we got this one. Go put it back on.
Yes,
it's always the other one. David with a 5, appreciate that. Says had the best time at the game Sunday. Cool to see a 65-yard Saquon run and Jalen's 100th touchdown pass. Thanks for all the great content. Go Birds. Go Birds. Thank you, David. What a game to get both of those to happen. I mean, honestly, question is because and you know you look at it and say, okay, yeah, they ran for a ridiculous amount of yards, 200+ yard rushers, 10+ average per carry, which I mean is crazy career wise. I mentioned this also in the last video, but career yards per carry. Tank Bigsby increased his career yards per carry. I know he hasn't had as long of a career in like carries and all that, so I understand it. But still, just the thought of his career yards per carry went from 4.1 to 4.4 in one game. And then meanwhile, Saquon, his season average went from 3.3 to 4.1 in one game.
I was just about to say that, but you had the stats already. But yeah, it's just crazy. What a performance. I mean, I'm going to go out and get ahead of it now. People have been tweeting at me since Sunday, and rightfully so. I was bashing the hell out of Brett Toth before that game when it was announced that
we both were.
He was going to be the starting center. I was like, what is Jeff Stoughton doing? He's made a couple questionable in-game calls. Like, there's no way he should be the starting center. And Brett Toth went out and had the best game of his NFL career by far. You could have put a Cam Jurgens jersey on him, or I'll say it, you could have even put a Jason Kelsey jersey on him, and you would have thought it was him out there. The way he was pulling, getting to the second level, blocking guys, pancaking guys, holding, like, he was really, really good. And I mean, maybe it's just a matter of center is his actual natural position after all, and it's not guard, because if you look at kind of the body types that Jeff Stoughton likes and the athleticism that he likes, and in guards, he doesn't necessarily have that. But when you put him to center, now he is a little bit faster than like a guy like Dexter Lawrence, and he can hold up, because he was holding up one-on-one in pass protection against Dexter Lawrence. I could not believe what I was watching. But I mean, I have to admit I was wrong. I wrote about it. It was one of my 10 takeaways in my article on the PhillySpecialShow.com. Like, Brett Toth played really well, and I feel really comfortable if he does have to play again. But I also, at the same time, I am really excited to see this under center offense where they're using the center on the move with Cam Jurgens fully healthy and back in the lineup too.
Absolutely, yes. And I will say the same thing because we've had our jokes and had our fun, and he's been kind of like this year's Quez Watkins or insert whoever else that we've thrown out
I
there.
think that
But
still might be Grant Calcaterra.
it's
But
yeah, it's probably so. But and we also did mention this too, and I don't think this is the main reason, but there was a part of saying like Brett Toth had not been historically good at snapping in the gun. There had been really, really poor snaps. So, just the thought, like maybe a little bit more of a reasoning to, well, do we go under center more because we don't want to have potentials for like terrible turnovers or plays like that. Total speculation. I don't know, but whatever the case is, they were doing it before, even with Cam Jurgens. So it's not like it was just one player. I totally
yeah,
understand that part. But either way, they just need to stick to as much under center as we possibly can because the EPA, the offensive efficiency that we've seen, the points per play, everything there, the metrics are like under center. Get Fred Johnson tight end 2 on the field, and this offense is unstoppable.
yeah. I mean, Fred Johnson. It was funny
He's tight end
because
2. Grant Calcaterra doesn't have a job anymore.
I mean, genuinely, that's what they should do because they don't target Grant Calcaterra anyway. And I tweeted that. And
Seriously.
got a little bit of flack for it. But I mean, if you're not going to throw to Grant Calcaterra anyway, then why not have him out there? But there were a couple weird sequences, and I think Shane Half had pointed this out with his film review, where they still went with 2 tight ends along with Fred Johnson as the sixth offensive lineman. So Devontae Smith was the only wide receiver on the field. And I think that was actually the play where Jalen Hurts got sacked, where he did like 3 spin moves and took that crazy loss. But it didn't matter because Tank Bigsby just got the first down on the next play anyway, which was
31 yards.
a crazy sequence. But I mean, with the trade deadline approaching, and like I said, I think we're going to talk about some of the potential trade targets, but the last 2 trades that I think Howie Roseman made were the Fred Johnson trade and the Tank Bigsby trade. And I said the Tank Bigsby trade looked terrible after he couldn't even properly field the kickoff. And now fast forward to the bye week, and it looks like arguably the best trade he's made all season because it looks like he's definitely going to be RB2 and has the explosiveness that maybe we were hoping to see from a Will Shipley or an AJ Dillon, but Tank Bigsby seems to be that guy, and he's under contract for next season as well. So they seem to be in a great spot behind Saquon Barkley now too.
Yeah, poor Will Shipley. But it's it's a good problem to have, kind of like the linebacker position situation.
At least he's a good kick returner.
It's true. So if nothing else, we get some good plays from Ship in the return game. Yeah, and then Tank Bigsby. Man, the aggressiveness. I love seeing him just like truck through 4 Giants defenders, like on that one run. He had multiple, like the one in particular, I'm sure you can remember, it was like one of the last ones in the game, I think, for Tank. And he's just like, you're like, oh, he's going to get, 5 yards, 6 yards. No, he's going to get 10. Oh, he's going to get 15 yards. It just carries all the Giants defenders. So some more of that, please. Yes, it would be nice to have kind of the 1-2 punch of him and Saquon. Fanny with a 5. I'm going on record to say Toth played better at center than guard. He is no longer just a breathing body on the field, taking up a roster spot. So, kind of an apology and an agreement with us.
Yeah, this is the night where we all get together and say our apologies to the Toth family and everything that we've been saying.
They're still watching.
He proved us all. We're probably all blocked by now, but he proved a lot of people wrong with his performance in Week 8.
Yes, I believe so. Eric with a 5. Here we go. Garrett, if you haven't had Rita's water ice, give that a try too. That's a good recommendation. Yes, try that out.
Yeah, Rita's is kind of all over the country, though, is it? Or am I crazy? I know we have in New York, New Jersey, PA.
The first time I had it was in Philly, so I don't know. Okay.
They have them at the Eagles practice facility on the field.
Yes, yeah.
Just walk up, get a free water ice. Pretty crazy, but
that was pretty legit. I enjoyed seeing all that. But yeah, the players coming up and just like, oh, here you go, take it off to the locker room. So
that's usually the rookie duties. They have to bring their tray of water ice or water, however you want to say it. Water ice.
Got the accent there. Okay, so yes, we do need to get into some of the trade talks. We mentioned we'd do some of that, of course, and we've been back and forth. But trades specifically, the Eagles have all sorts of options. They could go so many different ways, and maybe both, right? Cornerback and edge, and make another. There's so many. I've seen specific trade deadline targets, 2.0s, 3.0s, different speculation. But for you in particular, seeing some of the moves that have been made around the NFL, has anything changed for you, I guess, specifically for Philly? Do you feel like it's more the edge versus the corner, vice versa? Where you at?
Yeah, I've said this even before the Brandon Graham like coming out of retirement and Nolan Smith coming back. I'm still thinking that edge should be more of a priority over cornerback because I mean all along I've been a little bit more confident in Adoree Jackson than most people, but also the fact that Vic Fangio kind of spoke relatively highly of Jacorian Bennett because he was saying like, listen, like he showed flashes, but I didn't still get my like, full evaluation of him. So the fact that it seems like he's going to be healthy coming out of the bye week, and Kelee Ringo, he's had a couple rough showings, but he bounced back this week where he didn't let Darius Slayton or Wendell Robinson, they were each targeted at least once against him, didn't allow a single completion. So obviously not the greatest caliber of opponent and wide receiver that he went against, but it's better than the performance he had against them the first time around. So I'm personally more comfortable with the cornerback room. And I also just feel like if you're going to add somebody in the middle of the season, if you just look at the way Vic Fangio's defense is structured, it seems like the cornerbacks need more time than the edge rushers to get acclimated and then to play right away because we saw a guy like Jalen Hunt play a lot sooner than we expected as a rookie. And he was not only was he new to Vic Fangio's scheme, he was new to playing the position. So now if you're bringing in a guy from another team, like an edge rusher, there are plenty of guys that we're going to get into that have experience playing under Vic Fangio, but also just you're being able, you don't have to give those guys a ton of snaps. They can play 10, 15 snaps, rotate in along with all of these other guys and give you that help as well. So there are people that say, oh, these guys are starters elsewhere. Why would they want to come to Philadelphia and be a backup? But a lot of these guys are on terrible teams right now. Maybe they just want to play on a team that's competing for a potential Super Bowl run. So, and plus they don't really have a choice because they would be getting traded. Traded. It's not the
True, yeah.
NBA where they have no
Vast
trade
majority.
clauses. They're like at least these players don't have no trade clauses. So, also one more thing I want to touch on because I see a lot of people saying like, oh, the Eagles have 10 picks to trade. Like they can just trade. Technically, they only have 7 that they can trade right now because the other 3 are compensatory picks. So right now, the picks that they can trade are their own first round pick, their own second round pick, their own third round pick. They have the third round pick from the Jets, their own fourth, a fifth round pick that's conditional from the 49ers, which could become a fourth round pick, depending on how many sacks, if Bryce Huff ends up getting 8 sacks or not. And then the sixth round pick from the Vikings. So those are the picks that they can trade right away ahead of the trade deadline. And then they're scheduled to get a third round pick from Milton Williams, a fourth round pick for Josh Sweat, and a fifth round pick from Mekhi Becton for the compensatory picks in the 2026 draft.
There's lots of ammunition, which, I mean, it can go both ways. It's like, okay, they can't technically trade them, like you say, but if Howie Roseman knows in the back of his mind, like,
Yeah.
okay, we've got some of these, then, trade away some of theirs, keep the compensatory picks. Still a lot of different potentials for what he could throw out there. And I like what you said, the cornerback spot, the differences of how long it takes to acclimate. Heck, we've seen the same thing for Jacorian Bennett. Vic Fangio has admitted same thing for him too. Like if you're not a believer of Adoree Jackson or Kelee Ringo, I totally understand that, which we've gotten lots of comments. Jacorian was traded for towards the very end of training camp or right at the end of preseason. And it took him a good bit of time to still get acclimated and even like very remotely trusted. But yet Fangio himself has said, yeah, well, he hasn't gotten in enough time. We haven't seen for sure yet. We're kind of getting there. And you wonder if he's going to get a chance against Green Bay or if, like we've seen, Keelee's bounced back and forth, in favor, out of favor, in favor, out of favor. So maybe he does, but it did seem to take quite a bit of time. And you even think back to Cooper DeJean. I know rookie and kind of a little bit of a difference is there, but he was even dealing with the injury. Once he came back, Fangio was not quite ready. He's like, well, he hasn't gotten into practices. Like, we need to get in practices. It wasn't until after the bye week and then finally getting him to play, which, hindsight being 2020, you see that, you're like, where was this guy? Like, why wasn't he out there before? But it does take some time, and I think you're right, even more so with the cornerback spot. So with that being said, edge rusher and/or interior defensive line, if we kind of narrow it down to defensive line help, do you think a more likelihood, because you don't want to take too many snaps away from Jalen Hunt, you don't want to take too many snaps away from Nolan Smith, do they still make a move for an edge rusher? And I guess if so, is it I don't know how to phrase it necessarily, but like a lesser, not like a big blockbuster move?
Yeah, so let me just get my scroll out of all the edge rushers
Here we
that
go.
are apparently in trades. Because I mean,
On the list.
that's another reason why I'm also saying they should target an edge rusher over a cornerback. It just seems like there's so many more players available and just
Good
better players
availability.
overall. Because I mean, we'll probably get into cornerback, but the names there aren't necessarily as enticing as some of the names at edge. And I feel like you have to start with there's three guys that have experience under Vic Fangio. Two of them have multiple years of experience playing under Vic Fangio, and the first one is the guy that's in the thumbnail, and that's Dremont Jones. He's currently on the Titans, but he was, I know that the thumbnail shows him on the Seahawks, but he actually played under Clint Hurt in Seattle, and then he was playing under Fangio in Denver for several years, and now he's potentially available. We've seen the Titans already trade Roger McCreary for just a late day 3 pick swap, so it seems like they're going to be sellers at the deadline, and he feels like a player that when he was cut in the offseason, I said he would fit perfectly along the Eagles. Like if you look,
You were
especially
banging the
because
table for quite a bit for Dremont Jones.
yeah,
I
I
remember
think
that.
I think I sent Josh like 3 screenshots with tweets from like May when he was first cut, and I mean he
Yep.
was available for like maybe like a week before he was scooped up by the Titans. Unfortunately, he signed a 1-year deal with them, but I was very hopeful for those couple of days because of the connection with Vic Fangio and Clint Hurt, because he has that inside outside versatility that you mentioned, where he can you could even if you just search his name, there are some sites that have him listed as a defensive end, some that have him as an outside linebacker, some that have him as a defensive tackle. Like, but that's what he can do. He can literally play. He's a bigger guy on the edge, but he could also slide inside and play, which we've seen the Eagles do at times with Jalen Carter, where they have him all of a sudden he's way outside the tackle, and then sometimes he's inside. Especially with all these stunts they've been running and having a lot of success with lately, like he would help a ton with that with his size. So he's probably the top target on my list, just given that he has that experience, but also that positional versatility. And then the other two guys I feel like we've talked about so much, but they're both in the Dolphins. Jalen Phillips, who's more of the younger, like I guess the better, more higher upside, like long term, but he's on the final year of his deal, and that's Jalen Phillips. And like I said, he's battled a ton of injuries, but when he is healthy, he looked like he was going to have a career year in that one season with Vic Fangio in 2023. But on the flip side, you could go with a safer veteran in Bradley Chubb, who's a little bit older, has more production, but doesn't necessarily have the same upside if you're going to sign him to a contract extension, because he does have some years remaining on his contract, but I don't think he has any remaining guaranteed money because of the restructure that he did with the Dolphins. So those three are the names that I would really focus on because of their experience. But I literally have 5 other names here, and I don't know if you want me to rattle them all off, but I mean, there's just so many possibilities with this edge market.
There are a ton of names. I am curious. I may have you run through those here in a second, but I agree with you. We talked about this going back and forth again, to the extent of maybe you get someone who's more versatile. And I was texting you. I'm like, hey, it just feels like Jalen Phillips, which I'm holding to. It feels like Jalen Phillips is the most likely, certainly for edge rusher. But you did make a great point. You're kind of alluding to it here as well. But you did make a great point as we were texting back and forth. It's like, the way things have shaped up now, and if you're getting Nolan Smith back and BG and all these other guys that are, going to be making some plays, it might behoove you to go with the guy who's got more of the versatility, like a Dremont Jones, who can play at both of those spots or multiple spots, because you've got Jalen Carter, sure, you got Jordan Davis, you got Moro Ojomo, but then that fourth guy in the rotation there, it's kind of been hit or miss. I mean, I know Byron Young's had made some plays. You've had instances, but it's kind of been a hit or miss for that other guy.
Yeah, and Ty Robinson has been relatively like underwhelming. He's shown a
Yeah.
few flashes, but just hasn't really played enough to kind of establish himself. It doesn't seem like Vic Fangio really wants him to play too much right now. But a name that also like kind of fits that Draymond Jones mold. This is maybe more of an interior guy, but I don't want to take any credit from Jimmy Kempski because he had proposed the idea in his article. But old man Calais Campbell is still
Hey
out there
now.
balling, and apparently I think there was a report that both the Chiefs and the Eagles were interested in signing him this offseason, but obviously he didn't sign with either team. But
Mm-hmm.
if he is available, he's another guy. Maybe he is just at the point where he's chasing a ring in his career and he wants to get traded and they're going to like do better by him. But he's another guy that it feels like for probably over a decade now, people have been wanting to see him on the Eagles or some iteration of him
We
with
talked
in
about him.
Philadelphia.
I remember we had a specific stream where we talked about him. The same thing. It was like, there he is. He's out there. He's available. And yeah, I mentioned it in a recent video also. But it's like the Eagles and Chiefs wanted him. He has said in the past that he's trying to win a championship. I don't know necessarily why you would choose Jonathan Gannon over the Eagles or the Chiefs. But
Maybe it's the weather.
that's where he's from, right? Or that's where he's got his house and all that. So like, okay, I get that. But maybe little second thought later part of the season now. He's only got to play half the amount of games away from home and move out there, get a championship ring possibility. So I wouldn't mind that as just, another veteran presence in the room. But like you say, there's just a plethora of options. So you might as well, like your list, you might as well run through some of the other guys to keep an eye on. Should I do it
in an auction voice? Hey, we got this guy.
Here's the chances and possibilities.
So next one's going to be another popular name that I feel like a lot of people have talked about, and I've hyped him up on Twitter as well. I don't know if he's actually going to be traded, but Jermaine Johnson from the Jets played at Georgia with a couple of current Eagles players, was obviously drafted by Joe Douglas in that great first round, that trio that he drafted. So he didn't sign an extension unlike the other two, but I mean, he would just fit so well, I feel like, because he is under contract. They picked up his 5th-year option, so you would be getting the player. It wouldn't just be a 1-year rental for 8 games and the playoffs or whatever it is. Like, you're going to be getting him for next season too, which is huge, because right now you only have Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith as far as guys on the edge that are under contract beyond this season. So now if you're just adding Jermaine Johnson into that mix, you have those 3 guaranteed for next season. That would be a phenomenal situation to be in. But beyond that, I mean, Carl Granderson on the Saints is another kind of bigger bodied guy. He's been super productive this year, but because they're so bad and because they gave Chase Young that contract, does he possibly become available? He would be a name that I would find intriguing. Kayvon Thibodeau, a guy that we talked about already, who the Eagles hosted on the Top 30 visit. I don't think the Giants would ever trade him to the Eagles, but if they did, I would greatly appreciate that, because I think he's a damn good player.
Very much so.
Another guy that the Eagles hosted on the Top 30 visit, Arnold Ebiketie on the Falcons, who we've talked about before, but he's kind of been lost in the shuffle because they added those 2 young pass rushers. So is he maybe the odd man out in Atlanta and could potentially get moved? And then lastly, the other guy in Tennessee, and that's Arden Key, who's potentially available. He's been mentioned. He's younger than Dremont Jones, but he feels like he's always been that guy. Like, he has this upside, but hasn't necessarily reached it. But he has shown flashes, so which might be the perfect kind of rotational guy to bring in, where you're not relying on him to play 30, 40 snaps. He can come in and play kind of that Bryce Huff role that obviously he failed at last year, but you just bring him in on situational pass rushing downs, or you can just be that mix-up guy, play 5 to 15 snaps, something like that in that range. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, 8 names right there, and there's probably more that I missed. I mean, if you want to throw in a Trey Hendrickson, but I feel like we've talked about those guys so much, and I don't think he's actually going to be available, especially with all the injuries that he's dealt with recently. But, yeah, like I said, I could literally probably rattle off 20 different names on the edge that would intrigue me for the Eagles.
It's nonstop. You're right. And we won't, because, as you said, they're Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, heck, Myles Garrett, people throwing out there, Trayvon Walker. It's not going to be a big blockbuster move of those names, right? Like, and I'll say this too, 0.0% chance. So now we've thrown that out there. There's a possibility that it'll happen, and if it does, then we'll take credit for jinxing it in the reverse jinx. But it does not feel like they're going to that far to the extreme. I know it was earlier in the offseason that was the case, but I think you and I have talked about it. There's a difference of acquiring a player like that in the offseason. Fangio's made reference to it before as well, but there's a difference of acquiring a player like that in the offseason to give them time to acclimate versus going, hey, we're going to trade away a lot of assets, whether it's draft capital, players, combo, whatever, trade away a lot there to rent a player that, yes, they're really good, but when it comes to an edge player, I mean, how long are we getting them for, like half a season? I mean, if it gets you a Super Bowl, sure, everyone's going to sign up for that. But Fangio himself that's not his preference. If you're going to get someone, get me somebody who's going to be here. Maybe they help us this year, but more so we got them for this year and the next year too to kind of grow into the system. So that's where I just don't see that, combined with they're eventually going to have to get Jalen Carter's deal done. They're going to have to get Nolan Smith here done, and it does come down to a certain amount of snaps. I understand that. Still there's some great guys there, but there is a whole lot of belief. Fangio's his first pass rusher, right? I mean, one of his first, but his first pass rusher that he drafted, that he handpicked, was Jalen Hunt. So, there's some affinity for that. You hear it in every press conference. Like you can't help but tell he is incredibly high on Jalex's ability, and he's still pushing him because he's like, he's not there yet. He's getting better, but you can tell how much he appreciates that. So if Vic and Howie, which I got to imagine they're having these conversations, like, oh, hey, where are we at? What do we... Fangio doesn't want to take away snaps to where all of a sudden it's like, hey, Jalex got 10 snaps this game, right? Like that. There's the belief there. The pressures are there too. And so I think that it's like, hey, we're close. We could probably add another body as far as the edge rusher goes, but I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, I'll admit if I am, but I don't think that there's a big blockbuster trade for an edge that's coming.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. Not only because of, like you mentioned, this like the mid-season of it all. Like that's usually, it seems like if a team is going to take that gamble, it's like they're really desperate where they have like no talent at that position and they're like a Super Bowl contender. Like you saw the Rams do a couple of years ago when they traded for Von Miller and it worked out. But a lot of times these mid-season trades, to be completely honest, they usually don't work out. A lot of the times those teams regret that move. And that's why maybe you're seeing teams be a little bit more conservative this time around, where all of the recent trades that we've seen have been just late day 3 pick swaps. I mean, Roger McCreary was traded along with a 2026 6th-round pick to the Rams for a 2026 5th-round pick. And then today, the Patriots made 2 deals, where it's Keon White, who was a guy that was kind of in that same list that I just rattled off, where he's another young guy. He has shown promise. He actually has another year remaining on his rookie deal, and he was traded along with a 2026 7th-round pick to the 49ers for a 2026 6th-round pick. Like it's crazy to see these guys go at such a little value, and that's why I tweeted right away when the competition was reported that, like, if this is the asking price for these kind of inconsistent young players that are on their rookie deals, I could see how I think Howie Roseman is definitely going to make at least one trade. But you also have to realize with these rentals, if you think that you're going to maximize this player's potential in this second half of the season and a playoff run where all of these games are nationally televised, now all of a sudden when that guy hits free agency in the offseason, even if you're not going to re-sign him, maybe he signs for a decent contract somewhere else, and now you're getting a compensatory pick, kind of like they did with Mekhi Becton last year. Like if you trust in your building and your culture to get the best out of these guys, now that late pick swap that you traded might turn into a 5th-round pick in 2027, and that's great value because you got this guy for that stretch run, and now you're essentially trading him for a pick 2 years down the road. So that's also another thing to kind of think about when you're thinking of these rentals, is the compensatory pick formula as well. Because sure, the Eagles might spend some money next year, but I think a lot of it's going to be more so extending the guys that are already in the building as well. So they might still try to like kind of walk that tightrope of maneuvering at certain times to avoid the compensatory pick formula, and then waiting until after June 1st or whenever it is that they can sign players without impacting their compensatory picks. And
you think about too, this kind of reminded me, but the idea of a player coming in, maybe not making or having a great impact. It's not just the Eagles. It's all over the place, And you think about the Chiefs trading for and getting Josh Uche, did nothing. Like there was absolutely nothing. And you could say, like, has he been great this season? Probably not great, but he's made some plays. I mean, he's been impactful. So it's not like he couldn't have somehow gotten on the field a little bit and helped KC, but he just like, in the Super Bowl was the healthy and active. And if you had gone back and asked the Chiefs, was that the plan when they traded for him? Absolutely not. You don't make a move at the trade deadline like that and go, oh, we're going to have a healthy and active here and him basically do nothing all season long. You're hoping to trade and get that guy on the field where it's like, hey, he's getting like, a couple sacks for us, making some big plays in the playoffs. It just didn't happen. So I'm right there with you. Again, Uche's not at the level of, I'm not saying that for people, oh, he's not Trey Hendrickson, Max. I get that. But to the extent of like going and making a blockbuster trade, getting one of these guys in here, I don't. A lot of those apparently are off the market anyway. But even if you wanted to, teams know you're desperate, and it's going to be ridiculous. So I don't expect it, but everybody else, we could debate it. It's part of the fun, I guess, of the trade deadline in itself, because nobody fully knows, and there's ridiculous amounts of speculation. But we'll know here in a couple days. It'll be over. We're used to trade deadline, and maybe they've made a big trade. Maybe it's a small trade. Maybe no trades. Maybe it's just a little bit of a shocker there that there's absolutely nothing. I think it'll maybe be in between. The biggest surprise might be, and Matt here with a 2, appreciate that, Matt, says, is Grant Calcaterra next for apologies?
He's got
to do something pretty big to get the apology.
he's got to start by, I don't know if people saw it on the broadcast, if they watched the All 22, but I've seen a couple people talk about it. Like, there was a couple times where he was on the same side as Lane Johnson as a blocker, and just literally they were tripping over each other's feet. Like, I know damn well maybe Lane Johnson didn't say anything, but he was probably getting upset because there was one play where he literally ended up on the ground because he got caught up
Oh my
with
gosh.
Grant Calcaterra. So it's just like, I said it weeks ago, I went on my rant, but yeah, I mean, he has to have like a Dallas Goedert-esque game where he's got
He does,
6 to
yes.
7 catches, a touchdown. Like, it looks like this getting one catch every 4 weeks or whatever is just not going to cut it.
No, not at all. Especially like you say with the lack of blocking that we're seeing from him. So, we'll see. You know. Also, lastly here, what I will mention, and this is a great point. I think the Family Ninja was saying we don't need to trade. We're good. We got the youngest defense. It is a fair point, even if it's a small trade. But the youngest defense in the NFL, I feel like it took a little bit more time maybe than what we expected or hoped, anticipated, wherever you want to fall on that. But I do feel like it's similar to last season's defense of like, okay, hey, we're starting to see some things here, but the best is yet to come. Like, they're the youngest defense. They're picking up things. Drew Makuba has had some really bad decisions, really bad plays, but he's also had some good ones. And the hope is that we're seeing it slowly, but the hope is that it continues to build that way. Same thing for Jihaad Campbell. He got fewer snaps in the last game, but the play on the edge or the lack of guys there, and Fangio talking about, it was good to get that explanation. He's like, yeah, we worked on him with the not only base, but trying to get him some reps in the nickel and his responsibilities on that side. So he had just a lot of thinking going on. So they didn't want to overwhelm him and throw him out there to the game. Totally understand that. Nakobe Dean playing really well. So there's a whole lot of optimism. I'm just like, it's a really, really good place to be in because you get an extra week to, like we said, reset, gather the composure, figure out some things, maybe make a few adjustments, but then hit the second half of the year. And I would not be surprised at all if the defense is playing its best ball come January. And that's the best situation. That's exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying, and you were saying it too in the offseason, where like it felt like this defense, because of how young they were and because of these guys that were taking over for the players that left, that it sounds crazy, but the ceiling was higher for this defense than last year's defense, despite how good they were. And it's kind of funny the trajectory that they're taking because they've been a solid defense despite not getting a ton of sacks at all. I mean, even these 5 sacks in this past game, if you really sit there and watch it, it's not like they were winning instantly and just the play was over in 2 seconds. Like, it was mostly coverage sacks where the coverage was holding up. Jackson Dart was holding the ball because he couldn't really run out of the pocket, and then he was eventually brought down. So now that, like you mentioned, they're getting back Brandon Graham. They're getting back Nolan Smith. Jalen Carter should only be getting healthier. Jalen Hunt should only be getting better. Jihaad Campbell should only learn more. Drew McClellan, they're getting healthy, and like they haven't really dealt with a ton of injury. Like, they've dealt with quite a few injuries to this point, but coming out of the bye week, it seemed like they're going to be almost at their healthiest, and with Brandon Graham back in the fold, and with Jacorian Bennett possibly becoming that outside starter or getting more acclimated to the defense. So on top of if they add anybody at the trade deadline. So it really does seem like this defense is set up to not just the offense. I know the offense is hitting their stride as well, but the defense is equally kind of hitting its stride at that point too. So like you said, heading into January, this could be a very, very scary team once again.
Man, it's exciting. Didn't feel like it'd be that a couple weeks ago. Just with some of the concerns, more so on the offensive side, but we did see some leaky defense. But we're in a not so bad spot going into the bye week. Christopher with a 5. I think this is the last one here before I jump off. As we're getting late, we appreciate you guys hanging out. But Christopher with a 5. I'm going to disagree about a blockbuster trade off the table. Howie just a short time ago tried to get Micah and was sending the house to do so. Christopher, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. I think it goes back to my point. Howie tried to do that before the season. Now, it was super close to the season starting, but it was still before the season. Like, the reports eventually came out, but the trade that took place was before the season started. Even if it's only like a week before, I think it sends completely different messages. And also, Mike is, like one of the specific players I think that fits very well in the scheme. And, you could have used him a bunch of different ways. Fangio would have been hyped. Absolutely. Sure. We're not going to say that they didn't need to do that. But I don't think it's now we need to do something here at week 10 to try to acquire a big blockbuster name for kind of all the reasons that we were talking about. But you could be right. Maybe we see blockbuster trade over the weekend before the deadline. But I'll hold to, if it was going to happen, it was going to be before the season started.
Yeah, I agree with you for all the reasons that you said, but also because they want to see what Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith can be when they're healthy. Like, you don't want to bring in a superstar that's going to have to start. They're going to be your highest paid player, and you have Jalen Carter coming along too, like with the contract wise. So there's so many more factors that go into it than just like, oh, this guy's super talented, let's trade for him. Like, not only is it the draft compensation, and then the impact it'll have in the locker room, can he impact the defense right away? Despite how good of a player they might not be familiar with what Vic Fangio does, and Fangio has shown that if you don't trust the guy or think he knows his defense, he's not going to play him. So,
Nope.
regardless of what they spent on him, just ask Bryce Huff how that worked out. So, I mean, I think it's going to be more so. It could still be a very talented player, a starting caliber kind of a player, but you need to bring somebody in that's going to be willing to maybe play a little bit less snaps to kind of fit in to this puzzle that they're assembling on the edge.
And we'll see who that is. Again, it could be a blockbuster, and Christopher, I'll gladly admit that I was wrong. We both will. We'll say that we jinxed it by saying there was a 0.0% chance. But yeah, I feel like it's, if anybody, more of the Jalen Phillips, no offense to him, but he just doesn't fit in that category of what we're classifying as a blockbuster type of trade. But someone that can, play, 25 snaps in a game, give you some help, maybe get acclimated there. And in case you have an injury too, but we'll see what positions, what moves the Eagles make. We got less than a week. We'll have our answers. So appreciate it as always. Make sure to stay tuned. Follow Anthony at DiBona NFL. Keep you up to date on all the latest, as well as the PhillySpecialShow.com. Articles, news, post everything there. Obviously, there's no game for the Eagles this coming week, so there will be no game stream, and not streaming any other potential games that are on for the weekend. So like I mentioned, having the family vacation, taking some time. Probably one more video that'll come out on Thursday. I'll announce the ticket winners for the other ones. Again, congratulations to Cranky, everybody else as well. Appreciate you guys. Can't do it without y'all. Almost 145,000 subscribers too, so we're almost there. Means a lot. Y'all are the best. All right, that is it for us. Until next time, we'll see you guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.